because I am ready to move on to the Flutter. Now the what you were describing in that tortilla, I'll be curious how well it works with the Flutter, considering this is a Chardonnay.
Why do they call it a tortilla?
Well, what is the meaning of tortilla?
Flat food.
There we go. It's Spanish tortilla. Spanish flat food. Flat food.
And there's like not a Mexican equivalent to this probably.
In New Mexico, we have frittatas.
So as I'm looking at this one actually seems a little bit more pale than the last one. I also should have flipped those two around, but
oh, do you need
the other one looked lighter while it was in the bottle.
opener?
So this one's definitely more on the yellow scale, comparatively to the last one. Let's I'll have a nice little swirl to check the legs. And those things came down fast. So I'd probably put this more at maybe like 11.5.
Oh, that's
in my opinion.
12%.
Lighter to me.
So this is
Okay. So, all right, let's give it a sniff. Swirl and sniff.
Some sweet apple.
Yeah.
Gin and tonic, 3 lemons, 4 bears, 2 amaretto sours.
No, this is half of my house, half of the bar.
So I heard green apple. What's everyone else smelling on this?
It's very hard to tell.
Yeah.
It's got a weird pungency to it. But like I said, well, green apple, is there, that's the main thing for me. And really what's kind of funny coming to mind is, I don't know how many of you remember the old smelly markers, but the green one, the green apple, that something about that weird, almost kind of chemical to it, is kind of coming out in this. Almost like it tickles your nose, almost like gasoline.
Yes. Kerosene or rubbing alcohol.
That's appealing.
It's delicious.
All right. Well, let's give this thing our first taste.
It's a shot. That tastes like that little something sweeter.
So it's got a little creaminess, but it doesn't taste oaked. Like I'm pretty sure this was like, steel tank made.
I would kind of expect that all the wines in this Advent calendar are going to be less expensive wines, steel tank, for example, and not much aging. What would you think? Would you expect that too?
Say that one more time?
I would expect the wines in the Advent calendar to be cheaper wines, so like steel tank and not aged in oak, and not really popular wines.
I mean, that's part of it. I mean, though, really just kind of comes down to, I know a lot of pretty expensive, steel tank, and at the same time, like pretty cheap ones that have been done in barrels, because a lot of times they don't use, they'll not use like new barrels. They'll use something that's been already used once or twice before on something that's more, expensive. So that way they still get a little bit of that char and mellow flavor. But, it's not going to have like the huge vanilla bomb, while it's still being, kind of oaked, because at that point, barrels are a lot less expensive in the short run
Yeah.
for being able to age wine comparatively to the upfront cost of buying a 4,000 gallon like steel tank.
Okay.
So they're all corks and not twist offs. I noticed that. Twist offs are cheaper, right?
Though, I mean, actually, what that little bit of let me taste it one more time, because I think I might be a little off on the steel tank. It's like I almost want to say that it has a little bit of like this stony part to it that almost makes me think that it was done in concrete.
Is that actually a thing?
Oh yeah, that's the new thing now that a lot of places are adopting, is where they're aging in these concrete eggs, which is really old school. I mean, that's like what the first wine was made in was amphoras, which are these kind of clay concrete vases.
Didn't Pilsner or Kel do something similar where everything's like buried in some fortress underground that's been there since the 1400s or something?
Yeah.
Weird.
But yeah, that seems to be the new thing that's coming back, that a lot of places are starting to experiment with, is using concrete. And much like barrels, where it kind of lends a little bit of that dill, coconut, and vanilla, concrete does, one, it's going to hold on to some of the flavors from whatever else was aged in it, but it will lend a little bit of that limestone mineral taste to the wines that are aged in it.
And there's a lot of dust in concrete.
So we got any pairing winners?
The tortilla is really good with it.
Yeah, I agree.
I think your cheeses are
Mhm.
great.
I did too.
That's working well.
Oh, good.
Which of the cheeses, like the Iberico?
I like the Iberico the best, yeah, with this one.
Yeah.
It's the combination of sheep, goat, and cow's milk.
It's a little bit sharper than the other two.
Mm-hmm. With the honey drizzle and the eggplant, the sweetness gives a little bit of a contrast to the wine. Really
Mhm.
different flavor.
Not bad with the shrimp.
I think the other, I like the first one a little better.
I like the first one better too.
Let's go with the stuffed clam.
You say stuffed clams?
Yeah, and we have some stuffed clams.
Ooh.
Pretty good with the wine.
Apparently they eat clams in Portugal. That's what people say.
People, Google.
So Sarah, were you am I going to expect you out in Temecula in 2 weeks?
No, my daughter got to say his son's bringing a girl home from
Europe.
So sad.
So I'm hoping that Lorraine shows up for that. Well, she better, because she's supposed to drop off like a case of wine for me.
Well, there you go.
I'm not as big of a fan of this one. I like the first one much better.
Cara Caracara was better, I think.
They're still pretty good though, right? I mean,
It's decent,
I'm gonna open that one. I'll open this one.
but it doesn't have a lot of complexity to it. It's just a good, like, if you're just wanting to pound back a non-oak shard.
That's what I think about on Fridays.
you have days like that, don't you?
Pounding the shard.